So what are you working on now? It's kind of next thing for you.
Yeah, well, to be honest, like right now, I've kind of cracked the door a little bit to all of these people that are inundating me with phone calls to get involved in the LGBT and faith conversation, and kind of somewhat this weird thing that art does in creating dialogue and community. It makes a safe space. And so a lot of people have been asking me to do that, and I just cracked the door a few months ago, and now I can't get it shut. So I keep telling, I can't get it shut. I'm like going, stop! In a good kind of way, you know. So I'm doing a bit more of that. I feel like I've got the time to be doing it right now because the record's been out a year, and I'm not ready to market the new record. So I feel like there's a safe space in between to kind of engage a little bit on a social level, instead of just having to push the entertainment level. But I'm trying to do both at the same time and trying to figure out how it works. But next year, like artistically, next year I'd really like to be thinking about getting the entertainment thing, you know, definitely getting a new record out, and I'm playing the new music all the time, and just doing the singer-songwriter thing. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. But right now it's definitely been a lot of faith-based stuff, which is really, really strange. But occasionally I get out to a bar once in a while and go do a show, so I get, you know, I get to go do that too. No, it's not. I mean, and to say that I'm doing faith-based stuff is hardly to say that I'm doing church stuff, because I'm not going and doing church concerts. It's just integrating what music does, which is creating community, and I'll go in and play a few songs just to break the ice, and then we just end up talking. So it's been a really interesting thing. I would have never in a million years planned to have that kind of dialogue going. It's oddly close to activism, which I'm extraordinarily uncomfortable with. No, I'm not philosophically, you know, I really appreciate the people who are very bold and can speak for me. I get that appreciation. I appreciate that very much, because I don't feel like I'm a natural activist. I'm not the guy to grab a picket. I don't feel comfortable doing it. I don't feel comfortable screaming at people, I think you should go this way. I'm a lot more, well, I can see your point, maybe you can see mine, kind of conversational about it, yet at the same time I'm very passionately driven. I'm starting to get that. Having spent a year and a half now at this point, it's been over a year. I think I came out in April last year publicly. I think after a year of having people share where they're at and not knowing that they don't have a voice every day, knowing that the story that they're telling me is creating my narrative that I relate to other people, and getting out to a wider audience that for whatever reason somebody's willing to listen to me that might not have been willing to listen to me a year ago. That's a really powerful thing, and it's a huge honor. It's humbling. I don't always know what to do with it. But I don't necessarily view it as activism. I don't know that I'll ever be that kind of person. If you expect me to be the guy that skywrites in the sky a very volatile statement that says, you will believe me, I don't know that that's my stake in the world, or my gift. But but I'm grateful that there are other people that's their gift. Even though sometimes it's confrontational to me, it's one of those things that continues to inspire me. But there are just way too many people out there that I've come to love and admire, and it's just really hard for me to be quiet. It shows up even times where I wish it didn't. So I take that as a good sign, and an honor and a privilege actually at times to step up. Like somebody was asking me to make an It Gets Better video the other day, and it just never occurred to me to do it, because I thought somebody had to ask you to do it. They're like, culturally, get on board, you know? Come on, lesbian, you're supposed to make an It Gets Better video. And I think my initial reaction to things like that is, I don't want to do it. It feels like an activist kind of it does get better, but it's so important. I think getting to know the people and getting to even see my life lived out through other people, going, oh my gosh, it's so important that I do say something, and in a way that's really natural for me. And I would say that to anybody, you know, in whatever way that you feel comfortable. Some of you are going to be Greenpeace, get on a boat, spray down Japanese whalers, you know, where I'm horrified by that. I could never do it. I could never pull it off. But I could do other things. And what is it that you can do? and to be honest about your journey, I think, is one of the things that I'm learning throughout all of this. So whatever form that takes, I would always encourage anybody to do it, and at the same time appreciate those gifts in others. Appreciate where not everybody's going to be able to be out loud and proud. They're going to walk a different journey and a different path. Some are going to be very vocal advocates. Some are going to be really quiet and subtle. And I think you need all of them. I think they're all gifts, and I'm trying to figure out what mine is a little bit. And it's
yeah. So what music are you listening to these days that really inspires you, or that you just like to rock out to?
You know, I've actually put a bunch of old records on my CD player lately. I picked up, because I don't have any of the CDs anymore, so I went through iTunes and I was really missing, ironically, Michelle Shock's Short, Sharp, and Shocked is a really good record. And so I didn't have that on my iPod, so I went and got that. I downloaded some Sugar Cubes, Here, Today, Tomorrow, and Yesterday. They're old records. I think R.E.M's Green record. What else did I download? I think a Pixies record from like 92, 93, 94. And then I started looking at the dates on them, like, oh my gosh, this is like college music. So I've downloaded all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's what I've been listening to a lot lately, like old school stuff that's not related to anything right now. And I don't know why, like, Sugar Cubes are inspiring, like old Bjork stuff. It still sounds as fresh to me today, and like as an acoustic singer-songwriter, people freak out going, what are you doing listening to Eminem and the Sugar Cubes? I'm like, man, it's awesome! It's really inspiring. It's nice to get out of your head and listen to something that just makes you look at the world totally different.
Yeah. Well, and I'm a big book nerd, so like, what are some of your favorite books, or what are you reading now?
What am I reading now? That's a good question. I'm kind of in between books, and the book I'm reading somebody gave to me, so I don't even know what it is.
Fair enough.
It's a book. It is a book about some guy talking about how he kind of reconciled Jesus into a new perspective. Like it's kind of, I've been reading a few books lately along the lines of kind of like Jesus for the non-religious, you know. Bishop Shelby Spong wrote a book. I think that's actually what it's called, Jesus for the Non-Religious. And I've been reading a few different perspectives on that by different authors. But I think one of the books I really has been huge for me in the last year. I've read it about 3 or 4 months ago, and I'm pretty sure it's Kathy Rudy, R-U-D-Y, Sex in the Church, which is just a little bitty vignette, and it's kind of a nerdy academic book. But I loved it. It talks about, one of the things it talks about is just the idea of how faith and theology shapes our view of sexuality. And through that you travel this, especially in American culture, you travel this whole array of things we were talking about earlier, that I think queer theology in the church actually lifts to the level, and how we create our paradigms of what a family looks like, or what our gender identity is in terms of our faith, and how this affects our society, and how we sometimes create theologies around what we've actually got going on right now versus the other way around, or a universalist approach. We tend to see what we're doing right now and create theologies on top of that make us feel better about where we are. So it's a really interesting read. Yeah, Kathy Rudy, Sex in the Church. It's fascinating if you're kind of a theological, sex, gay, church, faith thing. Yeah. So.